Good morning, this is JColucciello, and today I'm going to talk about a proposal for tree maintenance in the main line in Pennsylvania. And living in this area, I'm sure, Professor, that you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. So the current state of affairs is that there is actually no tree maintenance laws in Pennsylvania, specifically in Montgomery County as well. There are numerous guidelines for culpability and for ownership and where that responsibility lies after an incident for trees that have fallen across property boundaries or have fallen and caused injury. But there is, in fact, no maintenance laws and no maintenance requirement before there is an issue in Pennsylvania, and that's for either municipal or property owners. The risks, I think, are really important to understand, given that most of the things that we do in regulatory items are to prevent risk, injury, death, property loss, information loss, and so forth. I think the risks are really important here. And these risks include injury to people from falling items, and that includes up to death, damage to properties, residences, and to vehicles themselves. It also includes fire hazards, and those fire hazards are a big issue, especially since we do not have a high number of paid firefighters in the area. We're reliant on volunteers, and unfortunately most of those volunteers actually have day jobs and full-time responsibilities and families. So there is a decline in the amount of volunteer firefighting population that is available to help. So we do have a finite resource in that realm. Additionally, there's actually damage to animals and ecosystems with dead trees in the area. And I think people don't really think about that. But if we have dead trees, there's no active life, there's no greenery. That actually leads to a decrease in food, a decrease in where the animals can be. And the larger animals such as deer and fox and other items that are around here actually suffer from loss of resources in their habitats. One obvious thing is that these dead trees tend to fall during storms, and I know we get a lot of that here in the main line specifically. Storms during the last couple of years have created significant problems with dead trees falling. These dead trees actually lead to downed power lines, since most of the lines are above ground here in this area. And when we lose those power lines, we have a loss of heat, loss of healthy food access. People lose electricity to their homes and their refrigerators and so forth. And this creates significant issues there. With that loss of heat and electricity, we also have an increased risk of hypothermia and hyperthermia if the storm is during the summer. And then this can also lead to exacerbation of any comorbidities that a patient has, as well as risk of death. In addition, we have blocked roadways when these trees fall, and that actually leads to delay evacuation, but more importantly also delaying of emergency response vehicles getting to where they need to be to help in any of the above situations. So this is a compounding issue that certainly carries a lot of risks to it. My proposal would be twofold, and actually one at the property owner level and then one at the municipal level. So at the property owner level, I think we should actually mirror a certification that we have to do every 2 years with where we actually are required to have an expert in stormwater drainage systems. We actually have to have them come onto the private property and inspect our water drainage components. And we actually have to have them verify that they are good, they are maintained, they are not blocked, they are functional, and that they will not cause damage or injury outside of any unforeseen situations. I think we should actually mirror that type of a maintenance verification process with having a tree maintenance verification performed every 2 years. That would mitigate many of these issues. I think there should also be penalties for non-compliance and non-removal of dead trees on private property. This would also mirror the existing stormwater drainage maintenance process. At the municipal level, I think we actually need to invest in increased mitigation of these issues so that we're not blocking roadways, especially to make sure that we're not blocking the emergency evacuation routes. This was a big issue 2 years ago. There were significant damage and people could not get out of the area during the hurricane. And people also could not get in from the emergency response. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I also think that there should be additional performance metrics and penalties for department heads who are overseeing those items. So this is something that's definitely on the local area. Here are my references, but it certainly could be scaled to any level. But especially looking at the municipal level, it could be scaled federally to address and be maintained and be required. But this is something that I feel is a strong issue that we certainly need to address, definitely in Montgomery County within Pennsylvania.